we are on the North Norfolk coastline on Brancaster Beach, and today I wanted to have a look at management along this coastline. This usual coastline on the North Sea will be affected by a process called longshore drift. Longshore drift occurs when the prevailing wind directs the waves in a certain direction. The swash, being the water moving up the beach from the waves, will come in at the direction from the prevailing wind, and then will go back out at right angles, being backwash. As this process happens again and again and again, it will transport sediment down the beach, and in time will form something called a spit, where land at the end of the coastline, the sediment builds up over a period of time. But this area is really affected by high tides and also storm surges. An example, high tide, where the gravitational pull of the moon moves the water around the earth. And when you experience high tides and spring tides, the water comes in, can cause erosion to sand dune systems such as this. But also you experience things called storm surges. When you experience real low pressure weather systems, when there's rising air going up in towards the atmosphere, when that happens, there's no pressure being exerted on the water, and simply the water levels rise. And with the direction of the prevailing wind, this can bring a body of water towards the coastline. And if that occurs with a high tide, a spring tide as an example, that can cause devastation to coastal sand dunes such as this, which are protecting land, in this instance a golf course, behind it here. So what we've got here is some management in place to protect this sand dune system, which, as you can see here, is massively affected from coastal erosion. So the aim of this management will be sediment to build up in front of these wooden barriers, and you've got netting in place to be able to build up the sand. And as the sand grows higher and higher, this being an obstacle, it builds up and it will act as a natural barrier, building and creating this sand dune system. But what's really important when you're looking at sand dunes is three things. You need, firstly, sand. We've got an abundance of sand here and sediment here. You need an obstacle. This could be an obstacle, some driftwood, maybe the growth of some vegetation and embryo dunes, some marram grass, and also wind. So with this process, the sediment builds up, and we can see in the background the marram grass, which will bind the sand together. Marram grass, as an example, grows by 1 metre a year in its length, so that when the wind blows sediment over the marram grass, it's able to grow fast, but also has very long roots. The roots will bind the sand together, making this a very natural and protected area for the land behind it, and in this instance, a golf course. So management such as this must be used more and more to help protect coastal areas such as this. And with the impacts of maybe rising sea levels occurring in the future, this could lead to further risk from coastal erosion occurring, maybe more low pressure systems, creating massive problems for coastal areas such as this. Once again, we can see some great geography in action occurring here. As we go further on the coastline, we're going to look at management such as rock armour affecting coastal areas such as this. Some great geography in action.